Mm.
Good afternoon, everyone. My pleasure to be with you today, joined by our esteemed panelists. My name's Scott Huxley, COO of Syscom Business Technologies. Again, our pleasure as a collective group to be here with you today, and share some insights on really how to have an impact on your 2021, and gain some traction on some things. As we move forward, if you do have questions, please go ahead and drop them into the chat box. For those that have registered, you will go ahead and you will receive the recording together with the slide deck. So with no further ado, so we start with an introduction of our panelists. Barb, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here, guys.
Welcome.
Do you want me to give 1 minute about myself or so?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So hello to everybody. Barb Reimbold. I'm owner of Pivotal Blueprint, and I'm an EOS implementer. Before becoming an EOS implementer, I worked with organizations for 20 years, helping businesses run their strategic planning sessions, merge together cultures for organizations and groups that didn't even want to be in the same room together. And I also did structuring of businesses to help companies to become profitable when they had never made money before. About 2.5 years ago, I started my own business, and I really love working with small, mid-sized business owners, helping you guys break through the ceiling whenever you get there. Excuse me. And like all of you, if you're business owners out there, I made several of my own mistakes as I was starting up my own business, running my business. It's how I came across DOS myself. So I'm an information junkie and I love to learn. So we'll dig into more of that in a little bit, but I'm excited to share more with you guys.
Very cool. And with that, to you, Jeremy, a familiar face to some, new to others. What do you do?
Well, Scott, no, Jeremy DeFrance, VCIO for Syscom Business Technologies. And yeah, for the current clients, you already know what I do, but I help do the strategic planning around technology and business for our clients.
Very cool. So let's go ahead and start with this for everyone this afternoon. Let's go ahead, I guess, Barb, and talk a little bit about the overview of EOS. Can we start there?
Perfect, let's do that. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. Looks good so far? Okay. So just to give our webinar a little context here, I want to share a little bit about EOS, and best way really for me to do that is with this model that you're seeing on your screen. Some people call it a wheel, but it highlights the 6 key components of EOS. And where this model comes is from a discovery that all entrepreneur leadership teams tend to wrestle with 136 issues, all hitting us at the same time, right? There's a lot of stress and pressure that comes with having your own business. What we find, the same discovery tells us, to the extent you can strengthen each of these 6 key components, those issues just tend to fall into place. They're really just symptoms of a root cause somewhere in here. And so when I work with my clients, I talk with them about the 2 tools and disciplines. Today, we're probably going to talk through two or three or so of them. What I want to do to give a little bit of context about today and what we're going to go through, I'm going to give you guys 1 sentence or so about each of these components, just so we have an understanding of it. So we always start at the top, vision component. Vision is all about where are you going and how do you plan to get there? So vision, called lots of things by lots of people, right? So vision statement, mission statement, hedgehog concept. We call it, we put our 8 questions together in something we call the VTO, and I'll talk about that later. But where are we going and how do you plan to get there? Second component is people component. We can't achieve our vision if we don't have great people. And the thing is that all organizations define great people differently. And so working in EOS, what we do is when I'm working with my clients, is we try to cut through all those terms that are out there, rock star, superstar, A player, and get really to the heart of what makes for a great organization. So I go through a discovery exercise with my clients. We really define and discover what makes for a great person for you, attracting the right people, repelling the wrong people. Third key component is data component. Data means running your business, facts, figures, objective information, real information, not the subjective egos, emotional type of stuff that sometimes, I don't know about you guys, if you're a business owner or if you're a leader of some sort, sometimes it's just nice to live in the naive world where you wake up and you go, you know, it feels like my business is going okay. And I talked to my right-hand man and he said it's going okay, so I'm sure it's fine. We don't have to worry about the data, right? But the reality is that's not how real world works. We have to predict, we have to have the right information. So data, getting that strong, making sure we have our numbers. Once we have vision, people, and data, and we start to get that strong, what happens in our business is our business becomes transparent and crystal clear. That water level goes down and all the impurities, imperfections, challenges, roadblocks, issues pop up. They didn't just show up, they were there, right? We're just starting to uncover them now. And so that's why our fourth key component is issues. Because what I want for all of you guys as you're thinking about and you want to get your business stronger is we really need to get those issues swept out from underneath the rug, because sometimes we like to do that, right? I don't always like to share and be vulnerable, but if we want to get strong, we have to get good at raising our hand and saying there's an issue, and you want everybody in your organization to have that culture. So identify the issue, solve it, make it go away forever. Fifth key component is process. This one is probably the most undervalued component, but probably one of the most important ones. If you're one of those businesses where you're stuck and you're hitting a ceiling and you're going, gosh, I'm trying everything and I just can't break through where I'm at right now, it's likely a spot in this process component, because in order for me, so I'm my business owner myself, right? And Scott and Jeremy, as you guys are thinking about Syscom, right? As you want to start to do more in your world, our 24-hour day doesn't expand. If we want to do more in our world, we have to give what we do to somebody else. Hopefully they're really, really good at it, and there's tools we have for that, but that's how we start to be able to do it. Process, getting really strong in that is how we can do that. Defining what is the most important parts in our business that we have to do the right and best way every time. So when we're working on that, it creates scalability, it creates consistency, efficiency, it makes things really easy to manage, and we become more profitable because we're doing things the right and best way. Last component is the traction component. Traction means running your business with discipline and accountability. So it's bringing that vision down to the ground and executing on it really well every day, every week, every quarter, every year. We say vision without traction is hallucination. And so often as we start businesses or we have businesses, the owner, the person that created it, the person running it, we have these great ideas, but it's really hard to get others to also get lined up with our vision. And so there's two tools and disciplines we talk about in traction, just helping our clients as I'm working with them about getting focused. We talk about 90-day worlds and other things. So those are the 6 key components. The 6 key components make up that EOS model. EOS, again, just stands for Entrepreneur Operating System, and it's a way of harmonizing, orchestrating all those moving parts of your business. You'll see on the right-hand side, I've got the 3 topics of aligned vision, gain traction, and healthy team. And those, I think, Scott, I'll start to pass it back to you, but those are the 3 things that we really wanted to highlight as we're talking about today. In our EOS world, when I'm working with our leadership teams, that's what we're working to help people do. We say vision, traction, healthy. So yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, it'd be easier to go, well, there you go. Bob's explained it to you. We concluded the webinar in 10 minutes. You just got to go do that, right?
There's so much more. We got to tell you stories.
Yeah, there you go. Just follow that. So, this is the second part, 3-part series, but the focus around this is really to help everyone today on the webinar this afternoon, and those will listen to the recording to kind of understand some principles of things that's really going to help them in 2021 and beyond. So I guess, Barb, let's pick, we agree to pick upon 3 of them. So for everyone on the webinar, let's start with aligned vision. Let's start with here and get your kind of perspective, what that means for business owners, people that are in a leadership role, C-level owner of a business. Let's start with that. Jeremy, I'll gather your thoughts as well, but let's start with Barb on the aligned vision piece. What does that mean? Because a lot of times leaders, we know what we want, but is that the same for everyone else? So I guess let's start with that. What is aligned vision in your eyes when you
Yeah, and
talk to
Scott, you and I didn't even prep that, and that was perfect because actually the table behind me.
Yes, this
This
is
is my
completely not prepared for now. It's a little
I
bit.
know, right? So this is my my session room that I'm using. It's a little lake house that I use to host my client sessions where we're doing really tough conversations. But this table right here, so often I've got the leadership team there and the owner, we get done with an activity and the owner goes, I knew that. Like that was kind of what was in my head. And everybody else, his staff around him goes, we didn't know that. Like, it's great it's stuck in your head, but that doesn't work for the rest of us, right? So let me go into the slide of things. Oh, one of my favorite quotes. So best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time is now. So if you're thinking about, gosh, should I do it now? Should I do it now? The answer is now. Start now.
It's a great quote.
Okay. Yeah. So aligned vision. If I say the word keyboard to you, what image pops in your head? And I'm realizing we're in a webinar and you guys can't answer me, so we'll just play along for me in your own world there, please. When I say the word keyboard, what image pops in your head? Did anyone think of a grand piano? An electronic piano? Did you think of maybe a laptop keyboard? Did you think about one of those crazy split keyboards? Or did we just think about a keyboard that goes to a computer? And so as we're thinking about aligned vision, I bring up this example because keyboard, if that's a very, very simple word, and we all say, oh, not a big deal, right? Yeah, we're just gonna go get a keyboard. Think about that now in terms of vision, which is a whole lot more complicated for your business. And as owners and as leaders, as you're thinking about, yeah, of course I've told my staff, where are we going, right? I've given them the vision. But if we clearly articulated, if we made it crystal clear on exactly what it looks like, the tool that we do, and I'm not going to go into this in detail, but if you guys want it, reach out. I'm happy to share it with you. But the tool we use in EOS is something called VTO, Vision Traction Healthy is why it's VTO. There's just 8 very, very simple questions that what I do when I'm working with my clients is we get aligned, the leadership team aligned, get all that stuff out of the leader's head on what works, what's the vision, where are we going. So that's kind of a nutshell, some things to think about. Are you being clear about what is that keyboard, and is everybody aligned, and are you sharing it with everyone?
Yeah, all jokes aside, on a very simple fact, I remember, for as parents here, asking your children to take out the trash, their vision is not the same as yours. That's a very slimmed down and
True.
you know what I mean? But we're talking
Yeah.
in the bigger sphere for today's purposes, of a lot of times, to your point, it's in our heads a little bit, and what they think. And the piano is a great example, by the way, but that what you were thinking was not what they were thinking, and obviously you can get an unpredictable result. Jeremy, when you think about aligned vision, when you think about sitting down, and we always trying to help people on the technology side, what are your thoughts on that idea of having a collective aligned vision? Because that's something we're trying to do, right, on the technology side with folks a lot.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to help people take the technology aspect and help them really realize how much of a key role and how they can use it to fit into their bigger overall business vision. We do the same as you see on the screen right now. We kind of try to take it at the same pace, not limited to, but that 3-year picture. The idea is that we're helping to, plan for the next 3 years with our strategies. And how does the technology play into that? And then we can go beyond that. Then once we get the technology playing into it and really show people the value in the investment, then we can talk, bigger picture.
Yeah, I think when we talked about doing this webinar, we thought we could probably make it an hour webinar, but let's let's switch gears with some time left. Let's switch gears to gaining traction, Barb. In your ideas, what does gain traction, I guess, mean for a small business? What in your eyes, in your experience?
So gain traction, I'll use an image as well on this one because I'm a visual person and it helps me as well. So hopefully it helps folks. Gaining traction, when we're talking about for the business, it's great that you have this idea of what you want, but now we got to get everybody following you. And so as you look at these two images, do you feel like your business is the picture on the left or the picture on the right? The picture on the left, you're looking at a bunch of folks, both of them are people in the boats, right? But not everybody is doing it the same way, which is maybe okay, but not everybody has an oar in their hand. Not everybody's going in the same direction. They're maybe doing it in different ways. Think about how smoothly are they going? Is everybody headed in the same direction? Versus the team on the right-hand side, everybody has an oar in their hand. They're all facing the same way, and they're all going at a same rhythm. And so that rhythm, the tools that we think about with EOS, part of gaining traction is getting everybody focused on the same things. So one, that vision we just talked about, right? Everybody is thinking about things the same way, but we talk about rocks, which are our 90-day business priorities, the most important thing to be doing for your business for the next 90 days. And Scott, I think you, Jeremy, and I were talking about the YouTube video that almost everybody has seen out there.
Yeah, we posted it actually as part of the webinar for people that took the time, or maybe didn't. Everyone's very busy, I understand that, but it's an old one, but I think is relevant, right, to the conversation today. Even so, even given how old it is, it's blurry, but it's still relevant, right?
It is, right? Yeah, and that's some of the pieces with EOS is that they aren't new fancy tools, right? They're tools that have been around for 100 years. They're going to be around for 1,000 more. And so Stephen Covey is exactly where we got rocks from, because it's about this concept of put the most important things into your day first, focus on that, get your team focused on those things, and then everything else will start to line into place. So as Jeremy was talking about technology strategies of stuff, that's not a 1 hour activity that you do, right? We got to do big planning for that and big initiatives. And the other really quick, and then I won't do much time, but the level 10 agenda that we talk about in the EOS, the tool we use for that, those rocks are important. But if we want to keep our energy level up, every week we need to be meeting as a team, talking with folks to say, how are you doing? Are you on track for your rock or not on track? So I can share this agenda with you for anyone else that's out there that's curious. I'm happy to share more, but 90-day world, focus on important things, and then talk about it every week.
Yeah, I was a little fearful for the people on the left-hand side of the slide there. I think they looked like they were sinking actually, which is a whole. Go back to that slide. Yeah, I actually think they could be sinking. So maybe they're going out of business. I'm not sure, but potentially, or maybe not make it.
I know COVID hit, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Maybe we go this way. Maybe we go this way. And the team on the right was like, COVID hit, and they're like, no, remember, guys, this is what we're all about. We do have the security.
Yeah. You bring up some good points, and the Stephen Covey video, kind of highlights that as well. And I think to your earlier comment, and we'll bring in Jeremy here as well in terms of the thought about traction. Unfortunately, a lot of people think, and I'll let Jeremy speak to the technology side, that traction can be gained with one particular thing, like a new server or a new computer or whatever. And I'd be interested to hear what Jeremy feels about it, because you're talking about traction is a cadence, right? Like the agenda that you just showed isn't, oh, I'll do it Friday and then everything's good. It's continual, right?
Regular rhythm, right? It is. It's something you got to be paying attention to all the time, keeping the energy level consistent and working on it.
Yeah. To bring Jeremy in on that, Jeremy, from what you see, how do you feel with that? Is that fair that a lot of times people feel that traction on the technology side is gained from one particular thing, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, we had this aging equipment. We took care of it. We're good to go for a while now. We don't have to think about technology anymore. But in the bigger picture, what we're trying to do is make those types of things that you're referencing, Scott, the minor, the obvious stuff. I mean, we can't get around aging equipment when it comes to technology or needs for new equipment. What we really want to do is try to figure out the bigger end of how can we go beyond the obvious technical side of it and really make technology work, and what can we implement to really help gain that traction. There's a reason that we try to, in the end, with a client, always be meeting once a quarter, so that we're talking to them, not to say that we don't talk to them more often, but as far as an actual strategic meeting, we're looking at those 90 days, because if we can break it down that way, then in the bigger picture, it's not so daunting. It's not all of a sudden, if we're talking once a year, we have all this stuff to do, and we can't, and then we forget about all the deeper lying things, because we're just too focused on that once a year or once every 3 years.
So
That's
I think
such a
it's
great point.
yeah. So I think it's fair to say that maybe we can agree that whether it's technology or whether it's your business, right, it really can't be or shouldn't be thought of as a one and done approach where I just have that one meeting or I have that one server and then it's done. That if you're going to get traction to where you want to go, whether it's traction in terms of technology or traction in terms of your business, it's a continual process. It's not just a simple quick meeting or a quick new server and then you move on. So let's switch gears a little bit to the third item, which is building a healthy team. Bob, can you walk us through that? I mean, all of us, we've lived on this earth for many years. We've all been part of good teams and great teams, and we've probably been part of some not so good teams too, right? So let's chat about that, because I think that's critical too. So with that, I'll kind of turn it over to you. But let's talk real, for everyone on the webinar today that's trying to grow their business, that's trying to do the right things, and the people that did register and are attendance today are wanting that. Let's talk about the impact of a healthy team.
Yeah, absolutely. So a healthy team, it's important, right? And as leadership teams, we don't always get to work with the types of people that are the same culture as us and fit our culture like a glove. We're not always working in that collaborative environment. I was actually just talking with a client this morning, and they were sharing with me that the group of folks that they're working with just aren't always in that same in sync. They're not implementing EOS. They were looking at it, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the analogy. I'll just jump right into it because I think I already flashed this up on the screen. So this is actually a picture of oranges from my counter from a couple weeks ago. And when we're thinking about employees, think about a bag of oranges, right? And when I have clients or potential clients talk to me and say, yeah, but you know what? I know, Barb, you keep telling me that I have to have all of my people being 100% the right people in the right seat. Those are the terms we use, right? We say they have to fit your culture and they have to know how to do the job. That's essentially the nutshell of this, right? And I go, but is it okay? Can I just have one person that's, because they're really good. They're a rock star, right? They want to use those terms. And you go, okay, then let's think of it this way. You have a bag of oranges, like this bag that I left on my counter, right? A couple of weeks ago, I left it there and it looks like a perfectly good bag of oranges. But then I went away to the lake house for the weekend. And unbeknownst to me, one of those oranges on the backside of it actually had a little bit of mold on it, right? A little bit like a toxic employee that's maybe picking at you, picking at the company, picking at the culture, maybe picking at your employees in a way that you don't know about yet. And I left it there for the weekend, didn't pay attention to it. I came back, every one of the oranges that was touching that moldy part of the orange now also had mold on it. And it's the same thing that happens with those toxic employees in our organizations. And while it's really, really hard to make those decisions and it's hard to think about it, we need to have every one of our employees being the right person, right seat, because those toxic people can kill you from the inside. And so right now is a perfect time. I actually was giving a presentation earlier about this topic. There's a lot of people out there right now, guys. There's some good people that are looking for jobs. There's some great contractors. There's great partners. So we've got Syscom, right, that we're doing this webinar with. When I'm talking with my clients, we talk about, when I say, think about all your bags of all the oranges in your bag of oranges, that's not just your W-2 employees, right? That's your finance, it's your IT, it's your HR. Who are all the people that are fitting your culture? They're helping you get your vision. They're in your boat, rowing in the right direction, keeping that rhythm with you guys. So those are the important pieces we talk. When I talk to my clients, we're talking about make sure you've got the right people in the boat with you.
Yeah. You guys already know this story, but actually the exact scenario happened to me, so I can completely associate to the orange theory because yes, the same thing happened to me as well. So it's very true. What you're saying is accurate. From a wider standpoint, yes, working with clients, that they have to be a good fit for us as well. It sounds kind of maybe crazy to some people on the call today, but there has to be an alignment of culture, really, both sides. And I think your point is well made about not just your W-2 employees, but the other people that you engage with at a much wider scale. Everything from your CPA relationship that you have, your attorney relationship that you have, everything. That's collectively you need those things in order to be to be effective. Jeremy, without naming names, I don't want to go back to any
Don't
past
name
stories.
names. I want to hear it.
No.
I don't know if we have any attorneys on the call, but no one can mention names. But when you think about this, when you talk to people, what is your take on that in terms of like the healthy team concept?
Well, I guess I would be in the wrong if I didn't tie this somehow to technology, since that's obviously what Syscom does. So think about it this way: the healthy team, your contractors, your IT provider, your W-2 employees, whoever it may be, all those things meld together, and technology plays a huge part in your overall flow and feeling. The way I look at it is, happy employees typically tend to then lead to a happy ownership or leadership team and a successful company. What if you have unhappy employees and you can't figure out what's going on, but maybe you're not giving them the tools to be happy and be successful and help your business be successful? That technology investment directly can directly help lead to that healthy team, because you're empowering the people to do what they need to help with that overall vision that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really, really good point. So when it comes with technology, as we talk about teams, we're in a very strange time, right? With COVID and working remote. So here we are today, running a virtual webinar series. A lot of employees still do have a good portion of people working from home. And we've been able to help people kind of collaborate beyond just video meetings through things like Teams. Some companies use Slack, but Teams, from our standpoint, to keep people connected. And I think if you keep people connected, to your point, you do improve your chances of having more connected teams, particularly in today's world where there's so many different employees that are working remote. So I agree with you 100%. There is definitely a tie in there, right, between technology and having a healthy team. But I think, Bob's example there with the oranges really hopefully today highlights for people that, again, business owners and leaders, that take a look at that, right, and realize what can happen potentially when you do have some people that may be, say moldy orange, but whatever. Some people that are maybe going to hurt you rather than help you as you try and grow, because as your business scales and grows, and if you have ideas of growing your business, you're only one person. You can only do so much. So you do have to leverage your team, which means that you ideally have to have the right people in the right seats. Sure. So great example. And yes.
I know. I was just going to move it to that way because I was looking at the clock, noticing we're close to time. So I figured this might be a good time to get
that. We could have done a 3-part series, just us. I mean,
yes, yeah. So as we get to the 30-minute mark here, I want to thank the panelists today. I've enjoyed this session. I truthfully feel like for sure we'll do a follow-up session to this. Barb and Jeremy, I thank you for your time today and your input you've been able to share. Barb is available, by the way, for questions on what we've spoken about today, right, Barb? You're more than happy to connect with folks, right?
Yeah, of course.
So Bob's information's on there. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say you'll have to help me navigate the GoToWebinar, but yes, absolutely.
I'll just hit the off button. Super simple. again, appreciate the panelists, Jeremy, Barb, your time today. For those that registered, you'll get the recording as well together with the slide deck. And again, it's been a pleasure, and we hope that you've taken at least one or two things from today's session to implement in your business to go ahead and have a real impact on crushing your 2021. So with that, we'll wrap it up, and I appreciate you guys' time and look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Barb.
Yep.
Thanks,
Take care.
Scott. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks.
Bye.